We are getting a stark new warning today about the state of the global economy. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says we are facing a job crisis far worse than in 2008. And if the government does not extend unemployment benefits, which will expire at the end of this month, things could get even more dire. Brian Cheung has been digging into this report for us, and he joins us now. Good morning, Brian. So walk us through what the OECD is saying here.
Hi, Alexis. Well, as you mentioned, the OECD warning that this situation is far worse than 2008 and urging countries around the world to take urgent action and quickly. The OECD out with a new report this morning saying that the unemployment rate among its 37 member countries ticked down to 8.4% in May, slightly optimistic, but not that much so when you consider that it's really only a tick down from 8.5% in April. They do say they expect the U.S. unemployment rate here stateside to remain above double digits, 10.4% by the fourth quarter of 2020. That's slightly more pessimistic than some of the other forecasts that we've heard from the Congressional Budget Office and from the Federal Reserve, for example. But GDP largely is something that the OECD is flagging here. And what's interesting about the OECD forecast compared to other forecasts that we heard before from the IMF and from the Federal Reserve, for example, is it had two different models. It had one model for a single hit, but also another model for a second wave, what they call a double hit. So under a single hit scenario, the OECD says that US real GDP will contract by about 7.3% in 2020. But in a second wave, that would tick up to negative 8.5%. So they also say the bounce back in 2021 would be dramatically slower under a second wave. If there's no second wave, they expect a 4.1% rebound in 2021. But under a second wave, that would be much more tepid at only 1.9%. The OECD is saying extending unemployment insurance might be an answer.
Brian, doesn't this a report like this underscore or validate what Federal Reserve officials have been saying the past couple months, where the recovery may not be as strong as perhaps the stock market thinks?
Absolutely. And I think that there's the concern here that really economic policymakers don't have a lot of control over that. A lot of this has to do with the path of the virus, which is the reason why the OECD has two different scenarios, a single hit and then that double hit. But I think what the OECD's main takeaway here is that even though economic policymakers can only do so much with regards to the epidemiological implications of trying to contain the virus, what they can do is make sure that in the meantime, people who are out of work that maybe can't safely return to work, in many cases where the COVID-19 count is going up, maybe it will be better for policymakers to continue to extend the unemployment insurance benefits, like here in the United States, where you have an extra $600 a week, longer than the expiration period in July, because if it seems like people can't get back to work safely by this summer, maybe you do need to extend those benefits so that people can stay inside to make sure this virus does not spread any further.
All right, Brian Cheung, thanks as always.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.